In today's lesson, we're going to learn how to subtract integers. I'm going to show you how to subtract integers using counters, and hopefully by the end of the lesson, you may start to develop, or I'll kind of explain to you how you could develop some rules for subtracting integers. So thinking about our last lesson in adding integers, we still need to remember what a zero pair is. That's when we put a red chip with a yellow chip. Red represents negative, yellow represents positive, and when we put those two things together, we get a sum of 0. So in our first example of subtracting integers, I give you the example of 3 minus 5. So in that example, we would start with 3 yellow chips, and subtract means take away, so we need to be taking away 5 positive chips, so we should be taking away 5 yellow chips. But we don't have 5 to take away, so how do you think we can do that? Well, it's all about zero pairs. In order to be able to take 5 positive away, we have to add 2 zero pairs to the board. I didn't add any value to the board, so we have no value added to the board, but once I do add those zero pairs, I can now take 5 yellows away, which is what this is what the problem's wanting us to accomplish. So now that I have 5 positives to take away, I do, and I end up with 2 red chips. Interesting, right? So when I take 3 minus 5, I end up with negative 2. Okay? So that's your first example of subtracting integers. The next example I give you, or I'm going to show you, is negative 2 minus 3. In that example, we start with 2 red chips because we have 2 negative 2. So we start with 2 red chips, and I need to take away 3. I've got to take away 3. 3 is a positive number. So how am I going to take away 3 yellow chips when I don't have any? And you are correct. I'm going to have to add some zero pairs, and I actually have to add 3 zero pairs to the board so that I can have 3 to take away. 3 yellow chips to take away. So remember, when I add those zero pairs up there, I'm not really adding any value because they equal 0. But that allows me to take 3 yellow chips away, and then I'm left with 5 red chips on the board. So that tells me that negative 2 minus 3 is actually equal to negative 5. In the final example that I'm going to give you, I give you negative 5 minus negative 4. Okay, so that tells me that I start with 5 red chips, and I need to take away 4 red chips because I'm taking away 4 negative. So do we have 4 negatives to take away? Absolutely, we have 4 negatives to take away. So when I take 4 away, I'm left with 1 red. So negative 5 minus negative 4 is equal to negative 1. Now these are just 3 examples that I'm giving you, and I just want to recap the 3 problems that we have. So the first example was 3 minus 5, and it gave us negative 2. The next example was negative 2 minus 3, and it gave us negative 5. And the final example that we had was negative 5 minus negative 4, and we ended up with negative 1. So your challenge for this lesson is actually 2 parts. The first is going to be for you and a partner to come together to create a Google slide to show me that you understand modeling with counters and subtraction by creating some examples of your own that are somewhat similar to the examples that I have provided for you. And we'll walk through the Google slide format if you need any help with creating the counters. Before you get started, you're welcome to get some counters from me so you can physically manipulate them and play around with them to make sure that you understand the concept. So that's your first task, is to create a Google slide with a partner that models at least 3 subtraction integer problems. The next challenge would be for you to come up with some rules for subtracting integers. So I'll leave you with this thought. Can you think of another way that you could use the number 3 and the number 5 to end up with -2? Uh, try to base that on your former understanding, like thinking about addition and some things that you know about addition and how you could use 3, the number 3 and 5, and would it be a negative? How do you get a negative, or just try to use your understanding of addition to develop those subtraction of integer rules. And that's going to be the biggest challenge, and I just want to see what you can come up with on your own, and from there I'll lead you and guide you into making sure you understand what you need to understand with subtraction as far as rules are concerned. But your number one task is to make sure that you know and understand how to create examples using modeling in order to base your knowledge and to base your understanding for subtraction of integers. So I hope you enjoy the task, and I look forward to seeing your work, and that's all I have for you today. So enjoy.